Hi guys, welcome to another session of flashcards with Opel. Let's get started. I am going to use the Smart Notes today. I'll put the term up there, I'll wait a second, and then I'll tell you what the definition is. If I'm not waiting long enough, it's your job to pause the video, say what the term is out loud, or write it down in your notes, and then press play again, obviously, to get going, okay? Let me know what you need after this if something comes up. Completely randomized design. That's a type of an experiment where we have one hat, okay? We break them up randomly using the hat method into different groups, however many groups we need based on the treatments, obviously. Each group gets their individual treatment, and at the end, you compare the response variable. So if your explanatory variable, the type of music, and your response variable, compare those test scores. Okay, next one, I won't go as fast there, I'm sorry, is the block design. That's where you take an experiment, a completely randomized experiment, but before you give the experiment to everyone, you break up these kids here, or whoever the subjects are, okay, or the experimental units are, you break them up into certain blocks first, okay? So in the example that I have here to show you, they're splitting up people by their academic year. Now, this is it's not the same with music. It's a different experiment they were doing. But you could think of them as splitting them out by juniors and seniors because they only have 2 blocks here. And then from this block, they randomly go to either group 1 or group 2 using the hat method. They get their treatments. You get your response variable. Again, you do it again here for that second block. Make sure that you know how to write this in a clear, concise manner, what the block method is, or explain it. And I do believe I gave you an example in your free response questions today or yesterday. Okay, matched pairs. Matched pairs is where individuals get both treatments, or individuals are matched up in a block together based on similarity. An example of that would be if I wanted to test Nike running shoes, okay? So let's actually go back to the first one where we get both treatments. I talked a lot in class about that boot example, right? I talked about, I give you all a pair of UGG boots. I want to compare the old spray to the new spray. I'm not going to break you up into 2 certain groups. Why not? Because some of you maybe go outside a lot, and some of you maybe don't go outside at all, so that you have that lurking variable. So instead, what I do is I give you both sprays. You randomly put the old spray on one foot, the new spray on the other, walk around for 2 weeks. I get the boots back, and I look and see how effective that treatment was, okay? Now, what's the difference if I match you up in a block together based on similarity? That would be like if I worked for Nike, right? And okay. Sorry, my son just came in here. If I worked for Nike and I wanted to compare 2 types of shoes and their tread and how well their tread holds up in like a running race, right? I'm not going to have you wear 2 different shoes. That doesn't make sense. But what I am going to do is I'm going to have you wear one shoe randomly, and I'm going to match you up, right, with someone that's similar ability running, similar height, probably similar weights, so on and so forth. And then at the end of the race or the end of that running period, I take those shoes back and I compare the differences. And again, that's the big deal with the match pairs. We're comparing differences, okay? All right, let's move on. What is the purpose of a block design, okay? You definitely need to know the purpose of a block design or even a matched pairs design, okay? Because really a matched pairs is a special type of block design. We want to know the results from the experiment are due to the treatment and not the lurking variable, okay? We want to know the results from the experiment are due to the treatment and not the lurking variable. I would memorize this word for word. I would have this down in my notes exactly where I can find it. It is important that you know this one and in context. What does statistically significant results mean? Well, it does mean that we go through that test, right? Those significance tests, those inference procedures, the Z procedures, the T procedures, and our p-value was really low, okay? But you also need to know kind of in a little bit more of a layman's terms, and that is just meaning we have results, an observed effect so large, it would rarely happen by chance. This must be memorized, okay? If you're asked, what does it mean to be statistically significant? Yes, you can talk all about the p-value and all this, but this definition definitely has to be memorized. Principles of experimental design. There are 3 principles to experimental design. Control, use control groups or control lurking variables, right? Okay. Number 2, randomization. You want to create equivalent groups so we know the response is from the treatment and not due to the group makeup. I did talk about this in the previous video, but I'm not going to let people choose where they want to go. If I'm in class, I would always talk about stress relief. And I'm going to give my class 3 options. You can go outside for recess, you can go do yoga, or you can go play video games. I want those 3 treatments I'm going to test. I want to see which one reduces stress the most. Okay. I'm not going to let you choose where to go. Why not? Okay. Well, then all of a sudden you're in a group with your friends. And now I don't know if this response is because of the treatment or is it because you're in a group with all your friends? So I need to randomize those groups. So the groups are quite equivalent, right? So I know that response is from the treatment. And then finally, replication. We want to use enough subjects to reduce variation. Just the more information, the better, more accurate. What is a lurking variable? A variable that influences the response variable, but is not accounted for. If you're going through this and you're like, what the heck is a response variable? The response variable is that result that you're looking for. That explanatory variable is what influences the response, okay? That's what, what you're deciding what that explanatory, that's what you have some control over, right? You get to decide what that explanatory variable is or that treatment is, and then you measure the result, and that explanatory variable influences that result. A confounding variable. Okay, what is a confounding variable? Well, it is a lurking variable, but it's a special type of lurking variable. It's a variable that influences the response variable, and it has a connection with the explanatory variable as well. I talked about this in the previous video that I posted, but I think it's important to watch again, talk about again. If we're looking at study time and how it influences test scores, we could come up with an experiment for that, right? Or even an observational study, whatever it may be, okay? The more you study, people would say, well, that could influence your test scores. Now, intelligence, right, could also influence your test scores. That makes it a lurking variable. And we're not measuring intelligence. We're not giving people an IQ test, right? Okay. So we're looking into how does study time influence test scores. The issue here is intelligence confounds that. And why is this a confounding variable? Because usually people who are intelligent also study a lot. Okay. And as a result, then that also, right, people who are intelligent probably have higher test scores in some cases, okay? So now we don't know, is the test score from intelligence or is the test score from the study time, so on and so forth. So I connected that intelligence to the study time. Now I think I did a better job of that because I had it all highlighted and I spent some more time with it in the previous video. So check that previous video if you need a little bit longer with that. But just making sure that that lurking variable also has a connection to that X variable as well, that's study time, okay? All right. What does a single blind experiment mean? A single blind experiment means that the subject doesn't know the treatment they are getting. But I do. Like if I'm going around, I know you're getting pill A versus pill B. I know exactly what pill A is. I know exactly what pill B is. You don't know what they are though. Okay, one could be a placebo. You don't know. Double blind, what is double blind? Double blind means you don't know and I don't know. And the reason for that is just to control bias. I talked in class a lot about anxiety. If we all were a class and we all had anxiety, we needed to be, we wanted to see if different medications worked, right? I'm not going to tell you, or I don't want to know if you're getting a placebo or not, because I unintentionally ask my questions differently. How are you feeling today? Are you sure? Like things I may not even try to do, but I do it because I know you're getting the placebo. Where if I know you're getting the medication, I might be a little bit more enthusiastic. Like, how are you doing today? Like, is it working basically? So that is just to control bias there. Okay, and I talked about that. And then finally, I think the last one I have is a placebo. What is a placebo? When I talk about it, a placebo is just like a dummy treatment, they say, or a sugar pill. It's a fake treatment to control the placebo effect because we want to know, right? Like if I give one group a medicine and then another group no medicine, right? And then all of a sudden I'm looking at the response. Now, I don't know, did that response from the medicine, was it actually from the medicine? Or was it because those people just felt better taking medicine? Like when my daughter falls and needs a band-aid, she just feels better. She maybe wasn't necessarily bleeding, but it still made her feel better, okay? So are people feeling better because of the actual medicine, okay? Or are they feeling better because they took something? So now what you have to do is you have to give another group a placebo. So now everyone's getting a pill, right? And now we're controlling that placebo effect. All right, at this point, I'm going to be done. I'm going on 11 minutes. You guys had a longer, I think it was like 20 minutes where I talked about this stuff earlier. So make sure if you need something more, you either watch that video if you haven't, or reach out to me and I can try to explain something a different way or find a different video for you or so on and so forth. Have a great day, you guys. I miss you all.